So I know we're not this kind of podcast, but I just need to do something really quick. You're not going to understand it, but I just got to do it really quick. I would like everyone to join me, bow our heads as I say a prayer. Heavenly Father, I come before you today. As you are well aware, February 9th is my birthday. It is also the day of the Super Bowl. I come before you humbly and ask you to please not let the Kansas City Chiefs three-peat and allow what is my number 2 bandwagon team in all of the NFL when the Chargers and Seahawks get eliminated to pull through. Go Birds. Fuck Patrick Mahomes. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And look, on February 9th, everyone, it's my birthday. On February 9th, we're going to know if God is real or not. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, we'll know if he's real. If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, we'll know he's real. We'll know if he's real or not.
Or if he listens to you or not. Could be a thing.
He has to. It's my birthday.
Isn't this the Super Bowl that like everyone's saying nobody cares about? I don't know. I'm not a football guy.
I mean,
really.
that is something that a percentage of people say about every single year. Like, just everyone that's mad that like their runner-up or bandwagon team doesn't do it. But yeah, the Eagles are gonna pull through. And look, if anyone here is listening or watching this in that Middle America area of Kansas City, first of all, thank you, and we still welcome you to be here and watch. Just know that the rest of America is rooting against you right now. So with that, theme song.
You know, actually, funny story is that I don't know if you know this, but you know, my parents are chefs, and you know, I grew up as a restaurant kid, and this was in the Bay Area first, so that's where, you know, I went to my first wrestling show and all that other stuff. But my stepdad owned restaurants in San Francisco, in San Jose, in Morgan Hill, all over the place, and he sort of gained a bit of notoriety as a really good Italian chef. And so we would have a lot of 49ers eat at my parents' restaurant and stuff. And he was such a big football fan at the time, you know, coming from Italy, and then, you know, there's not really, soccer isn't huge here, or the original football.
Yeah.
So he got into American football, and what he would end up doing is he wouldn't charge the players anything, but he would just bring me something, And so we had all of this NFL merchandise over the years, like signed game balls and like a bunch of Joe Montana signed, like, you know, 8x10s and huge frames and everything. But he was so bad at taking care of things. And like, to this day, even though I'm not a big football fan, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. Like, when we moved from the Bay Area to the Central Coast, we were just, everything got wrecked during the moving. Like, it was just like, and I remember that because he had no wherewithal for anything. One of the frames broke. Like, it was a giant, probably like 2 foot wide by, you know, 18-inch tall framed poster of like the 1989, you know, team or whatever that was signed by a bunch of teammates. And the frame broke, and he just put it outside and let it get rained on.
As he should. Them Niners are look, I have some Niners fans, so I'll tread, or I have some friends that are Niners fans, so I'll tread lightly. But one of my favorite things ever was after I got home from a trip from Denver. It was the same day as the conference finals between the Rams and the Niners. So a bunch of Niners fans came to SoFi, and the Niners lost that day. And touching down at LAX, walking out, and just walking past the flight that San Francisco is like soon going to be boarding, and just a legion of people in jerseys just like on the floor, sniffly, like just so defeated. It was actually, it was pretty fun to see, not gonna lie.
Yeah. it's just the entrepreneur in me thinking like, damn, like I could have found a way to like keep all those things and sell them for cash to,
You could be living
Niners.
in a house right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I honestly probably dozens of like Joe Montana like autographs. Jerry Rice. I don't know if he was on the Niners. I know he wasn't. He was Raiders, right? Whatever. I just cringe at the fact that all those autographs are.
Sorry, not to alienate every wrestling fan that doesn't watch.
Honestly, it's
doesn't watch fake sports like football.
Yeah, it's
very
alienating
rigged.
me right now.
Yeah,
actually.
it's I mean, dude, football is more rigged than any pro. I mean, pro wrestling doesn't have fake or rigged allegations. Football absolutely does. And again, I should have added it in the prayer to just let the refs just not like don't do any weird shit. Don't do any weird shit. The game on Sunday against the Bills was very obviously. I don't need anyone that watches football and has seen that game knows. But yeah. I don't we've already talked about bridging this gap between wrestling and music culture and whatnot, and I think you literally said the words of like, if this podcast were a human being, it would be Jeff Hardy. If this podcast so they filmed this like well over a year ago, but probably the greatest crossover, the penultimate crossover in both of these things. Yeah. Underline that word. John Cena has a show on Roku TV about just motivational talk with celebrities. And one episode is with Travis Barker from Blink-182. And man, I stayed up, binged the whole thing. It was like an episode with him, an episode of with Jelly Roll, who I don't have any problems with, but I can't escape that guy's face for the life of me. I just see him everywhere. He had an episode with The Miz, but like seeing my GOAT in pro wrestling with one of my, if to be honest, not my actual like number one GOAT in music, just collide and do 30 minutes of an episode together was pretty fucking cool.
The two dads.
Yeah, no, literally the two dads. And the episode, I don't know if you've watched it.
No.
The episode literally ends with Travis taking him back to his studio. And he's like, so when was the last time you really fucked around and made some music? And Cena's like, oh man, like probably like 2006. He's like, oh, so it's been a while. So they literally went in and like made a beat. You had a thrash from Escape the Fate there. And they were just cooking up some stuff, and they made like a little instrumental for the show that I don't think they used for the theme song. They totally could have, but yeah, it was just so like that was a spontaneous combustible moment for me, just seeing them just hard style with each other at and just hang out at his studios. It was super cool.
Imagine heel Cena actually getting that, but Travis Barker does, and him do the theme song together.
That'd be insane.
Some drums, the things we'll never get.
There was one day in like 2016 on Good Morning America where Blink and Cena were on the same episode. I think Cena was there to promo, I could be wrong about this, maybe that upcoming SummerSlam, and Blink just dropped California. This was Skiba era Blink.
That's
but
the best Skiba era album. California is top tier.
California, yeah, no Skips album for sure. I am like one of 4 people that also really likes 9. So if you like 9, leave a comment, tell me your favorite song, and we'll go down a rabbit hole. Yeah, so there was an episode of them on Good Morning America, and I don't think Blink, I'm sure they've like archived all their socials since then. But I mean, if we can find that, that photo of them just hanging out, we'll put it here. If not, whatever. But yeah, fucking so sick.
Pretty cool. And then besides a few people that I kind of already knew were going to be on the bill before it was announced, I know that Warped Tour had some drops, which I've been sick the last few days, or literally this entire month. Basically, we went into January. all the fires start kicking off. Everyone's getting sick. There's asthma all around. The air quality sucks. And then we've just been overworking, and trying to do this podcast, by the way, has just been because we're just starting out. And by the way, we have ordered cameras and we're going into debt in that whole process to make this look better. So in the meantime, we're still getting our footing. It's been a hell of a month. So with that, I have not really been paying attention to anything. So I'm kind of leaning on you as the person that is caught up to date with all things in the announcement world. And I guess, yeah, Warped Tour did announce some.
Dude, Kevin Lyman is killing it with his rollout, and all of the comments on Warped Tour's page, like, you all suck. Like, I just want to let you know, like, where's My Chemical? Where's Pierce the Veil? Where's Fall Out Boy? How about someone I actually know? Like, they'll post like a medium-sized like scene band that has never played Warped Tour that like I'm so hyped on, and then the top comments are just like, I've never heard of these people. I'm like, okay, like, yes, you're washed up, and you wanted this to be another When We Were Young, but guess what? It's not. It's about it's about the new faces. Now, admittedly, it is pretty diverse. Like, you got names from all the way back. You got like Pennywise on Long Beach. You got fucking Fishbone. Like, they went really far back, but then of course, like, all the way up till now, like, they dropped our homies in Honey Revenge on the lineup. They got, state champs, Point North. Shout out the home team. A bunch, like, it's a pretty nice plethora. They got Drain on it, which nice. I know your homie is probably gonna be. Yeah.
I was listening to Drain before Drain was fucking called Drain.
I listened to Drain back when they only played garages in Santa Cruz, like down the street from the boardwalk, and I just think it's pretty fucked up that they ended up joining all these Live Nation festivals. What a bunch of fucking sellouts, bro.
I listened to fucking Drain when their intros was just like distorted guitar and Seagull sound clips and shit, which I don't know if that's still a thing that they do, but whatever. Yeah, Drain's cool.
I listened to Drain before they got big off their Descendants cover of Good Things. Like, fuck, bro.
So, anyways, but yeah, no.
Is he coming tomorrow?
No. He double booked himself for some grind show. So
nice. Yeah, I mean, Warped Tour is dropping stuff every single day. I think like 4 or 5 a day, which is, it's pretty cool. And when you look at the blank spaces in between, like, it looks like the amount of people that are going to be on every single day are probably like equivalent to like a When We Were Young amount of people, which is honestly pretty fucking sick. So I have zero complaints so far. So yeah, keep it up, Kevin Lyman. And
what's the biggest band that's announced so far?
So it's all medium-sized bands. I think that, like, you know what? That is a good question. If I had my phone on me, I would I would check it out. But
is there?
I think. Yeah, I don't know. Pennywise maybe. Drain is getting big. I know.
Pennywise was on the first
311.
one.
311 is on it. So like, like some amphitheater size bands. But yeah, it's gonna be sick. Catch me in every fucking pit there in Long Beach, California.
No, I thought you were gonna say like every single one. Like, you're just gonna
catch me running around. Dude, I told myself,
or get on every flight.
When the OG When We Were Young lineup came out, I told myself that I was going to see like 60 of the bands there. And I tried that first day, and it's just, there's no point. Just pick one or two people in the same slot and deal with missing out on everyone. You're not going to be able to see everyone. So
time travel.
Yeah. Also, shout out to the chief operating officer of WWE World Wrestling Entertainment, the game, Triple
Hall
H.
of Fame, baby.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they did this, because you get to a weird point when you get enough power to where it looks weird when you go, like, for instance, I remember for years I had a friend that was just like, I think Vince McMahon's going to go in the Hall of Fame this year. It's like, he's never going to put himself in the Hall of Fame.
And he very well might not now.
Yeah. So when Triple H, started taking over, it kind of got to that point where it's like, okay, he got in with DX and that's cool and everything, but that's not the same as going in on your own. And I think that like it's weird too because, you know, for instance, still to this day, X-Pac going in with the NWO doesn't make the most sense to me because I really think that X-Pac deserves his own entrance as 1-2-3 Kid, you know, that got the upset win on Razor all the way back. That's like a top tier early years Raw moment, all the way to him being in the NWO, being in DX, but him just getting inducted with the groups doesn't make I think he should have a standalone. And to be honest, like he wasn't. Yes, he was part of the NWO, but like when you think of the NWO, you think Hogan, Nash, Hall.
What do you mean you don't think of Big Show?
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't think of Booker T?
Virgil, and that one time Dusty Rhodes, you know, show.
What do you mean you don't think of Sting that one time at WrestleMania 31 where, you know, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't?
What do you mean you don't think of Brutus the Barber Beefcake when he like cosplays like Hulk Hogan? Like, yeah, there's but at the same time, I think that Triple H, we were talking about Mount Rushmores a few episodes ago, and to be honest, we never really like delved into that. I think
we'll get there. We'll get there one day.
Like revisit it. But it's very hard for me, especially if you consider contributions outside of the in-ring career. How is Triple H not a Mount Rushmore GOAT? Between everything from you know, like the beginnings in DX all the way through his reign of terror, and everything he's done in between, and then all the contributions that he's been making outside, not only in WWE the last few years since he's taken over, but I mean, Triple H is also, you know, responsible for the NXT that everybody loves, especially like those golden years and everything.
And Katie Vick. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But it's like, how do you not have him as a Mount Rushmore? And to be honest, the thing that like everyone, if you watch his documentary, they talk about how the whole thing with him dating Stephanie was like Undertaker telling him like, look, if you do this, fuck what everyone else thinks, but if you do this, there's always going to be an asterisk next to your name. Everyone's always going to think that you didn't earn it or whatever the case is. And the fact of the matter is, it's like Triple H could have very well dated Stephanie and sucked and still gotten the push and everything, but he was always great. And yes, are some of Triple H's matches like, you know, a little slow and maniacal at times during his initial you know, reign of terror? Sure, like there, you know, but it's not like him and Orton were going to, you know, compete with Taker and Shawn at 25.
Right.
You know, as I digress though, I think that Triple H, regardless if, you know, he married into the family or not, it's clear there's not a McMahon in WWE now.
And honestly, like what you're saying about like, you know, with that asterisk, I don't think there is that nepotism. It never really felt like that, like super clear, because he was already like a top person in the company, at least, you know, as a superstar before, you know, they became official and, you know, Republic and everything like that. And even then, like, you know, as far as taking control and creative and all that, like that still was, I mean, once they ended up together, it was still like 15 years away. So I feel like, I mean, everything that he has done, he's absolutely earned. I don't need to, we can glaze up Triple H for an hour on this podcast. Like he obviously, yeah, he's very, very much goated.
Very damn well. But also just to add on to that is that Triple H would have had the same success, I think, with or without. Just because he's so driven, he's always been such a student of the game. You know, no pun intended. But he would have gotten where he was going to get to regardless. And on top of that, he is an all-time. If I had to think of the greatest heel of all time, it has to be Triple H. At least, you know, at least for me, like across the board, he was so good. And some people, this is where maybe like this opinion doesn't necessarily reign true with everyone, but people talk about the greatest heels of all time and everything. And I know one that, you know, even newer ones like MJF and all that stuff. I think it's easy to be an asshole across the board, right? But the thing about Triple H is that I believe Triple H is a good guy who was just really good at playing a heel. And I think that that's where the talent is. Like, if you're just an asshole and then you play an asshole on TV, okay, like it's not that much of a stretch. But I remember Edge growing up and just being fucking. I just hated Edge.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hated Edge.
I mean, to be honest, a lot of these people in that Ruthless Aggression era, they were so good at both. They were the most likable person on earth, and they were horrible like when they were heels. Like, but you know, I think of Edge, I think of Jericho, but yeah, I don't think anyone really tops that more so than Triple H. So I mean, when I started watching wrestling, he was probably he was the top heel in the entire company. So, I mean, and I've talked about Mania 21 being my first event, like just seeing the top most evil piece of shit. Just that match was, I mean, it was the main event, him and Batista. That match was kind of a squash match, and Batista just throwing him around the ring left and right, bloodied and everything. You know,
also, I can't think of a wrestler that has had a better string of theme songs.
Yeah,
like
just across the board from like the Jim Johnston era.
1, 2, is this on?
Yeah, so good.
Give me that Triple H, and then obviously the game, like all of his songs. To me, still to this day, like, you know, and I'm sure theme songs will come up so much during like this podcast going forward. But the game to me is a top, almost unbeatable like pump up song. Like when his music hits, you know that shit's going down, especially live.
One day I'll share all of my playlists that I have on my phone, but I have a gym playlist that it goes pretty hard.
Yeah, I have a gym playlist, and it's just the game 25 times.
It's just the game over and over and over. And then I did rip an MP4 of Big Mark or whatever, is that his name? Time to play the game.
Oh yeah,
that's in there too. But you gotta dig deep for it.
Or the but even like his have you heard the Drowning Pool version? It's like the time to play.
Yeah, they did that for WrestleMania 18, I think. Right, they played him out. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like, just all in all, we could literally talk about him for like 2 hours. But we literally we'll be doing this at the Hall of Fame if we go to the Hall of Fame.
And anyone that thinks that Triple H doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame due to any sort of asterisk, in the words of Paul Heyman, you could suck my fucking dick.
I was gonna say we got 2 words for you, but that's...
Oh yeah, you know what? Let's do that. It's the
no, we got 6 words for you.
Yeah, we got 6 words for you. That would have been so much more smooth.
Oh, it's fine.
Anyways, whatever.
But yeah, and then also probably the most stacked Royal Rumble of all time is happening. So like, by the time this episode drops, it is either going to be within hours and hours away, or it will have already happened. So there's not much of a point in talking about predictions, but might as fucking well.
No, we have to do this for the sake of history, to
make fun of ourselves when we're wrong,
or to
glaze ourselves up and get this God complex that we already do have.
Exactly.
We know that we are we're great musicians, we're handsome, we have all this kind of we're everyone else is beneath us, but when we're right about pro wrestling results, that's the best part.
Reminds me of I have a friend, and I remember she posted on Facebook one time. She was just like, "I don't get it. I'm perfect. Everybody should want to be with me."
Yeah,
and it's just like,
probably correct. But I don't know him, but probably correct.
But yeah, the Rumble is crazy stacked, and I think that the worst thing about not having a podcast is and giving predictions is, how many times have you had a crazy wild card that ended up being right, and then you got no proof to like share it with anyone or whatever.
Now we get 7 people to share it to.
Exactly. So
yeah, these Royal Rumble 2025 predictions are sponsored by Wingstop. Hopefully. Hit us up.
I got Duncan this week, but
dude, it is absolutely. I'm ashamed to admit how many times I've been to Wingstop this week.
It's funny. I'm ashamed of how many times I've been to Duncan.
At least you live like
close enough.
Close enough to a Duncan. Wingstop is. I mean,
you're traveling.
Yeah, I'm traveling. It's a little bit of a trek. Who's women? Oh my fucking god. Who is winning the Women's Rumble?
See, all right, here's the other thing that we need to talk about.
Gotta be quicker than that. I already have my answer.
Well, okay, so we have to start with you, I think, because the thing is, I'm still so not caught up on everything going on. I've not done my research, so I've been a very poor podcaster.
The winner of the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble is Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, I mean, she's coming back in that Rumble, right?
She's I mean, SmackDown is a few hours away from now, but I think it is very likely that we get literally zero Charlotte promos or any sort of showing face before she enters the Rumble. And what I like about this is when she does win, and by the way, I'm not a Charlotte Flair glazer. I'm actually probably lean just a little bit more on the hater side than a fan, but I think, at the very end of the day, it's like something that you can almost always expect is that when she's around, she will always be at the top. And I mean, she has multiple things about her that that is very justifiable. But when it comes to Charlotte, what I like about it is when she wins, you can tease either title match for weeks and either one will make sense. I think Charlotte Tiffany I'm going to predict that will happen at WrestleMania, because it is kind of a dream match scenario. Like they do seem like the younger and older versions of each other. Like it's kind of made for each other. But I also like the idea of Charlotte and Rhea teasing a rematch, because that first match, I don't know if it was, I try not to be biased about events that I was at, but I was at SoFi Stadium. I watched that match in person, and that match was incredible. It was so good. So I like the idea of like you can kind of mess with fans' heads for a few weeks before she makes a decision. But yeah, that is my pick to win the Women's Royal Rumble.
Well, yeah, my pick, I think, is what we'll end up doing is we're gonna pause real quick. I'm gonna think. We restarted. So yeah, I mean, all right. So for me, I probably agree with Charlotte. I feel like that, especially just because it seems like she's coming back. And the big thing that we were talking about this a few weeks ago, you gotta have years where heels win the Rumble, and it seems like there's been a lot. Unless I'm forgetting something, didn't we? Travel all the way back. Like it's been almost 10 years since some heels have won the Rumble. I mean,
I'm gonna have to think about that one. That's yeah.
Because if you go back, I'm pretty sure it's been a minute.
Well, I mean, I guess Brock in 22. I don't know if that counts. No, he was cheered at that time.
Yeah, it's weird because he's a cool heel. Like,
yeah, I mean, same with Rhea. 2023, she was a heel, but everyone loved her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's even when you go back, it's like it just seems like
wow, it's really been a while. I know my Rumble winners Triple H 2016 was the last time it was like a heel. But even then,
he was
cool. Cheered because everyone didn't. The main goal of that Rumble was Roman loses. Like that. That's all anyone wanted.
Yeah. I mean, and in 15, Roman was technically a babyface. That's what they were pushing. But then obviously people did not like him winning.
I threw my TV out the window.
Yeah. So you could go with that or whatever. But like a traditional heel winning, what was the year before that? Orton?
Batista. But who was also booed.
Yeah. So it's just, you need like some traditional heels to win Rumbles at this point. And I feel like Charlotte coming back, I mean, I don't know. She's kind of a career heel.
But she's been gone for so long where it's like, is that very well may not happen. And also like I haven't been watching SmackDown like consistently beginning to end, but I think I saw like a little Rhea Tiffy, little like hang in the like little dabbing up or something. I'm like, are they turning her face or like what's going on here? So
yeah, I think definitely going with Charlotte is probably the safest bet. And then Charlotte, as you said, teasing, either match could be cool. Here's the thing with my Rumble winners this year, I can't say the Rumble winners without not going to the left and going with my just out of the box wild card, because I have like 3 wild card scenarios for the entire Rumble that I think would be crazy, and they're almost 100% not going to happen, especially the one that involves the women's Rumble. But I think it would be so fucking sick, which is, and that once again, it'll make sense. But imagine this, and once again, this is a wild card. I know that it's probably not possible.
But here's the thing. Before he says what he's about to say, shout out to Ishka Bibbles in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Third best Philly cheesesteak I had. When we were a few hours away from WrestleMania 40, he literally called the Seth Drew to how Drew's gonna fuck himself over to where Priest cashes in. He called that to a T. So I'm just saying, sometimes he's right.
But wouldn't you think this is cool? All right, so my biggest thing is when we talk about the men's Rumble, it is so stacked that it's probably the hardest year in, to guess who's going to win, because there are so many main eventers at this point, across the board. And it's hard for me to think, with how featured CM Punk is, that, him not winning the Rumble is kind of crazy to me. But then I was thinking, it doesn't seem like him and Seth are done, right?
Okay. We're talking about the men's women.
Well, we're actually talking.
We're talking about women.
We're both.
Okay.
It's gonna make sense. But so between, you got CM Punk, you got Seth, you got Cena, you got like all these people in there. Is Roman in the Rumble?
He is.
Yeah, so it's fucking crazy,
insane.
right?
It is the most stacked Royal Rumble of all time. Like, unless we want to argue with some 56-year-old old heads about like, no, 1992. Like, okay, fine, 1992 is pretty stacked, but that's the only argument. Other than that, this is the most stacked Royal Rumble of all time.
So I was just thinking, all right, here I'm gonna go from. I'm gonna start this with the least likely wild card, and as we continue to talk, I'll bring up the other two, which are more likely. My least likely wild card is, if I was the booker and I could, bring anyone back. Imagine this. Imagine CM Punk and Seth Rollins are in the, like, they're both in the Rumble and everything, but they just can't stay away from each other, right? And somehow CM Punk, eliminates Rollins or whatever. And Rollins finds a way to fuck over Punk and get Punk eliminated, whether that's running back in, distracting him, or whatever, right? This would require the men's Rumble to be first, right? And then imagine CM Punk gets cost the Rumble by Seth in some sort of snaky way. Wouldn't that be a sick way to open up the door for like an AJ Lee return, where she comes in and eliminates Becky from the Rumble? And then that leads to some sort of like WrestleMania tag match, like mixed tag match.
It's a possibility.
That's my big wild card. I know it's very like out there, but I just think that it'd be pretty sick to have some sort of, because how do you not have CM Punk headline Mania finally? I think one way to get around that, though, and having him in a super premiere match, is like him and Seth and Becky. Maybe AJ.
My wild card thing, this doesn't necessarily pertain to the Rumble match. I'll get into that in a minute. I honestly had the potential possibility of, whether it's Seth or Punk, someone takes the belt off of Gunther before Mania, and the main event is a triple threat with Seth, Punk, and Drew for the title. And that kind of, Drew gets his main event in front of fans, Punk finally gets his main event. It kind of almost doesn't matter who wins there. Like, everyone is kind of happy. But, and then maybe Gunther. I don't know if it's going to happen, and we're kind of going off on a tangent, but like, I've been a little married to the fact for the last 3-4 months that Gunther is going to lose the title because of Goldberg, with that Bad Blood interaction. So I setting up what would probably be Bill's final.
Is he in a match
match
at the Rumble?
So he's not, but it's a rumor. So, I mean, I'll go ahead and briefly, like, the men's Rumble match is really hard to, it's so hard. It's funny because in hindsight, you can look back at most wrestling shows and be like, oh, of course they were going to do that. But like, let the record show right now, they're playing chess with themselves. There's like 500 different things that could happen. You could have, out of all the people that are in the Rumble, like 7 or 8 different people win, to where it just, I think a lot of people would be happy with it. I mean, of course, you're going to have people complaining no matter what. But at the end of the day, I'm very lightly, like very briskly going, not extremely confident, but out of everyone there is, I am going with CM Punk to win the Rumble. And we'll see kind of what that ends up doing. Also, I don't know if you saw this, because this was a few days ago. They are now toying the idea, and the fact that this promo literally closed out Raw makes it go like, okay, that's my name, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Which is also like, dude, that is, if that does happen, it's literally modern day Stone Cold Rock. Like, and if we really want to, tinfoil hat, like Punk turning heel via whatever the favor is with Paul Heyman at Mania, like that's Mania 17 right there.
Yeah.
Which I'm also super cool with. But it'll be interesting with what happens with those. I also think with Cody and Kevin, that ladder match, there's multiple different things that can happen there. I think there is a run-in. The question is it The Rock? Is it Sami Zayn? I think Sami's probably the more likely one. Also, I mean, I'm assuming that match is going to happen before the men's Rumble match, but in a world where Owens wins, dude, the chances of Sami Zayn winning the Rumble would go up like so much within that, however, 20, 30 minutes in between those matches. So
yeah. Well, see, the other wild card, the thing that I remember like wanting to see so bad and talking about it for like the last year is, imagine, if they're going to do Rock and Roman at some point. It's weird because The Rock lately has been positioning himself almost more as a babyface, like the final boss thing is over, but I'm assuming that he's just kind of playing nice, like it was the first Netflix and all that stuff. So he's kind of company man.
He said on NXT, like, he was making fun of the fans, like complaining, and he finished his point with just saying, like, sit your ass down and let The Rock take you on the ride that he's taking you on. So it's not over, it's still going somewhere. It's just a matter of how long do we have to wait?
Yeah. I love the theory though. I love the theory of like Roman winning the Rumble and then The Rock just being like, fuck you, I'm the, like, I have executive power.
I also love that. Yeah.
I'm entering at 31 and he wins somehow. But then once again, that doesn't make sense, obviously, because unless they're doing like a Rock, Cody, Roman triple threat, which
it just feels smaller than doing one-on-one Rock versus one of them. But they did kind of shovel themselves last year with like, okay, there is still this marquee match that people do want to see. They just didn't want to see it in place of Cody getting his moment. But now this is still on the table, but you also delve deeper into the possibility of Cody and The Rock. And honestly, I mean, I know The Rock is one of the most successful people in the entertainment business. I wish they could have not extended it all the way until now. I wish that could have been like a SummerSlam match or a Survivor Series match or even the main event of the Rumble or something, like Rock and Cody. Like, because that also may not happen at Mania. It's rumored that The Rock is also not going to be at Mania. That's also another thing. So there's a lot of things that we just need to watch to see like how A is going to play out, which is going to feed into B, which is going to feed into C. So
what do you think? So we could also talk too about why we think other people are not going to win the Rumble. So there's the whole Cena thing. Like, Cena's in there. It's his last year. And it's even weird thinking like, oh yeah, we'll never see Cena win a Rumble again, potentially. I mean, he could win tomorrow. But I think Chris Van Vliet made a good point that it seems like Cena's going to take the hero's journey this year, where it's like he's not going to get everything up front. It's going to be one of those things where the first thing he's got to do is he's got to fix the whole fact that he hasn't won a match in over 2,000 days. He's got it. So maybe something like he doesn't win the Rumble, but like something he gets close. And by the time we get to summer, maybe after some losses, some wins and all that, he sort of builds his way back up, which is very Cena-like because Cena's always about earning it. My thing with Cena in the Rumble, what I picture happening is that he does not win the Rumble and he gets eliminated by Logan Paul. And then that leads into WrestleMania.
Yeah, so I got one of three scenarios for Cena at Mania. I got Cena Logan Paul, which is a huge money match. and I'm not mad at that. This one's it depends. If they want to keep him out of the world title picture and they have something for Logan, Cena Braun Breaker and have Cena win his first IC title. The other scenario, which is the one I'm leaning a little bit more towards right now, because they at the end of the day they are making a big deal of Cena's final Mania. So I do think he could get 17 there. But since, he's literally promoted that it's his last Rumble, and he is also promoted his last Chamber. So you would think that he would be in the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
And I think with that, if they don't do Gunther Goldberg, they don't have plans for that, and they'll just keep the strap on Gunther till Mania. I think you could do John Cena Gunther at Mania and have him win the number 17 there.
The one that really throws me off too is like the if we go back for a second to CM Punk and the favor with Paul Heyman. How do you think that plays out at WrestleMania? Like, imagine, let's say CM Punk doesn't win the Rumble. The reason I think CM Punk is going to win the Rumble is, as much as I like to sort of put the tinfoil hat on and have crazy wild cards, a lot of the time you notice that WWE doesn't stray far from the path, and they will do what is the most obvious thing. And
right.
Because if you go down these rabbit holes of reading online too much, it ends up becoming a swerve in your own mind, because you're like, oh, they just went with the most straightforward thing. It was like when we were at Raw and everything, and everyone's like, oh, The Rock is going to come out and he's going to screw over or whatever, or like, or whatever.
Nothing
happens,
so
right?
anticlimactic.
And that happens all the time, though. It's like you hype yourself up with all of these theories and then it's just right in front of your face. So the idea that CM Punk just wins the Rumble and that's that, it makes a lot of sense. And I feel like, that's
and at
that's
the end of the day,
go.
like, however, CM Punk, however a lot of the locker room and people outside of the company feel about him, he is so red hot as a just, people explode literally and metaphorically from multiple areas of the body once his music comes out. So
this might be crazy. This is my favorite. I prefer this era of CM Punk over over the summer of Punk, only because I like the older, grizzled kind of like pissy, or not pissy, just like aggro Punk. Like beforehand during the summer of Punk, it was a lot of sour grapes, and it was a lot of I deserve this because I'm the best in the world and everything. And now that he's been on this whole journey, he went to the UFC, saw how that happen. He went to AEW, saw how that happened and everything.
He became a sports broadcaster too. Saw how that happened.
Yeah. It's just like, now it's just he's in this, like, I'm not a big superhero movie fan, but like he's almost in this like Hugh Jackman Wolverine kind of.
Yeah, he's Logan.
Thing.
He is absolutely Logan. I like that you still get, in comparing this era versus that summer Punk, there's still a lot of like, you don't really know what he's going to do, especially this favor thing. It's like literally there's so many different scenarios that people are throwing out into the universe that like, maybe this will happen, maybe this will happen. I think a lot of people are also just speculating a heel turn, which could happen. I wouldn't be mad at that, but also he's just so red hot that like it would be a situation where, kind of like Rhea Ripley, like 2023, like it doesn't really matter what he does. Like people are still going to go ahead and cheer, even if he says to not, I certainly will.
Yeah. Because it's like the favor, if you think about that for a second, does it extend to the Samoans in the sense of like, does it involve them, because Heyman obviously is in that camp? Is there a favor that the Samoan team, like a Roman favor or something like that, or something from The Rock that, CM Punk wouldn't be able to get on his own, but because Heyman is in their corner, kind of like, because that's the only way I see CM Punk like using a favor to get like from Paul Heyman to get into the main event.
Yeah, it probably has to be something with, I would imagine The Rock, like either The Rock or if they're actually trying to bring Brock Lesnar back. But other than that, like,
because in kayfabe, where else does Paul Heyman have stroke right now?
Like no one, he's only stroking Brock behind closed doors, Roman. And then Roman Reigns.
He's stroking him off.
He's stroking him off. He's glazing him. I mentioned this on the last episode. I did want to. I made a Royal Rumble 2025 drinking game because
you and everyone else apparently.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I I make
Here's the thing. Fuck the other.
fuck the other people, but I make drinking games for everything. Like he went over to my Christmas party last year, but slash month. And like I literally made one for Harry Potter. Like we fired up Sorcerer's Stone, and I got pretty much our entire group just plastered, including myself. I've made one for Scream. I've made one for even like this one's random. I made one for 13 Reasons Why because I was like, and dude, I'll read that off one day. There's a lot of stuff you can.
There's a lot of reasons.
There's a lot of reasons to drink in that show. But you know, I do pride myself in making drinking games out of anything. But it turns out as I was finishing and finalizing this, I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and look up some. Maybe someone else has done this. And then there's two. One, the name escapes me. The other one, they're both podcasts. The other one's a little bit more famous. But I see that. I just want to let everyone know I did not steal anything. It's let's call it great minds think alike because that's just. Yeah, we have a lot of the same things on our drink, and some things on mine are different. So I just want to go ahead and point that out. I'm not ripping anyone off. And also, there's a chance that some people might be listening to this after the Rumble or something. So, if you discover this late, maybe like copy what I'm saying and put it in your notes for 2026 Royal Rumble.
Are you working during the Rumble, or what's your? Are you drinking? Are you doing this game live?
I'm not. I am. Yeah, I'm doing it live. We're doing it live. Fuck it. Fucking thing sucks. That's what I'm gonna say. Like after every underwhelming thing that happens. But with that said, here's my 2025 Royal Rumble drinking game. You are going to take a drink anytime someone skins the cat. I'm not talking, like you're hanging on and then your feet get on the apron or something. No, you gotta skin that thing to its balls, like shear that thing, like. And it's tough because I don't really know that many people that would do that today. Like maybe some women, I think like rookie Kofi Kingston might, that's maybe something he would have done. But
it's a very Seth Rollins thing too.
Maybe Seth, yeah, maybe Seth. So we'll see. That might happen. That might not. This is probably the biggest margin. You're going to take a drink anytime Michael Cole brings up someone's past in the Royal Rumble.
It's going to be like every entrant.
It's going to be almost every entrant. And that rule is going to stand the entire show. Not just the matches, the entire show. We're going to go ahead and keep that one there. You're going to take a drink anytime there is a holy shit chant. You are going to take a drink anytime a multitude of people, which in my definition of this game is going to be at least 3 people or more, eliminate one person. How is anyone going to eliminate Nia Jax? How is anyone going to eliminate the big shit? Like, it's obviously very, it's tough because I don't know how many super heavyweights are like booked for the Rumble right now, but we'll see. I mean, that's it's something that happens every year.
Is Jacob Fatu in the Rumble?
I'm sure he will be. I don't think he's confirmed as of this second, but I'm sure he will be.
Just a side point, if they do something like like they did with Kane in 2001 where he just annihilates and eliminates like 12 people, that'd be sick. Well could. Or they all go in on him. And then
you are going to take a drink if Penta and Rey Mysterio square off. And I don't even mean that as like they don't even have to throw hands, just a face off. Maybe Dominic or Logan like interrupts it or something. Take a drink. You're going to take a drink if someone gets attacked before they enter the ring. Happens almost every year. You are going to take a drink if someone is eliminated within 60 seconds of them entering. And then lastly, on this section, you are going to take a drink. It's not a matter of if, it's when someone points at the WrestleMania sign. All right. Next, you are going to take 2 drinks if any of the following people show up: Jordan Grace, Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, Randy Orton, JBL, Aleister Black, Trick Williams. And then finally, you are going to take a shot if any of the following people show up: The Rock, AJ Lee, Joe Hendry, Nick Nemeth, John Moxley, which sounds crazy, but he is in town. Big E, but I do want to put the asterisk. He has to enter the Rumble. That's the only one. Anyone else can. You got to take a shot if they show up at any point of the show. Hulk Hogan, Bill Goldberg, Brock Lesnar,
Jeff Hardy.
Why not? And then finally, you are going to kill the bottle, which I'll probably be stingy. I'll probably introduce the bottle, and when we're watching it, it'll probably won't be like filled to the brim. But you're gonna kill whatever bottle you're drinking from if any of the following things happen. Naomi and/or Bianca turns heel. Paul Heyman turns on Roman Reigns. This one's I just want to see my guy in the main event already. If Jey Uso wins the Royal Rumble. And finally, kill the bottle if the final two in the ring is John Cena and The Rock. And that is my 2025 Royal Rumble drinking game.
Very nice. I think you're missing one.
What's that?
You gotta take a drink or a shot or something if R-Truth enters the Rumble and introduces some sort of match that is not the Rumble.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah. We could do that.
What do you think he would do now? Because he's already tried pinning people. He's brought the ladder in. He's like, what else could he do?
Maybe he like gets someone to tap out and then he like wins and like points at the sign or something like that. He locks someone in the STF. Also, we gotta have if he shows up in the Rumble, because I don't think he's confirmed yet. But yeah, Cena Truth at some point this year, if not in the Rumble. That's the other thing that I briefly touch on before we start wrapping. With Cena, obviously being the GOAT and everything and having limited days, I really hope he shows up early in the Rumble, because I feel like there's so many opportunities for him to go at it with people that like we will probably never see happen again. Like look, if we never get John Cena versus Carmelo Hayes in 2025, that's fine. Just have him hit him with a protoplex or something once, and I'm good. Like have Cena toss out Penta or something, like stuff that we probably won't see. Like that's one of the most fun things about the Rumble is like I remember just certain instances throughout the years of like things that you just never, like I remember Undertaker and Umaga happened for a little bit at the Rumble one year. Goldberg literally tackled Cena in like 2004, and I was like, that's so cool, because that interaction never happened again. Like things like that are a huge plus for the Rumble in general, especially when it's this stacked. And yeah, it's my favorite match of the year. It's the thing I'm always most excited for. So yeah, I'm going pretty hard.
I feel like the Rumble almost has the most goodwill of any pay-per-view across the board. Like it is the most exciting. Yes, WrestleMania is great, but like the Rumble has all the anticipation.
Yeah, the product could be shit, and you'll still get an ocean of people tuning into the Rumble. Yeah. Even when I wasn't watching, I still tuned into the Rumble.
It's about the journey, not the destination. That's the same with this podcast. Like, we're just getting better
the
by the weeks,
road.
hopefully.
Yeah. Also, like, I'm sure a lot of people. I don't know what the ratio is of people listening or watching, but like, if you're watching, first of all, shout out to you. Thank you very much. We'll keep, we're gonna keep pumping shit out in more ways than one. But also this setup that we have going on between just everything, stuff that you see in this in our frame, stuff that you don't see, it's going to be upgraded on an almost weekly basis at this point. So for honestly,
we're in our ECW production
for
right
the
now.
Foreseeable future. Yeah. If it's fun. Like we're in that mid 90s, late 90s ECW. Just wait till we get that mid 2000s fake brick wall.
Yeah.
Or better yet, the shitty LED stage that was also the SmackDown stage in the late 2000s that everyone hates. But hey, you know what? It worked for TV and
it's gonna work for us.
It's gonna work for us. So we'll get there. And then we're
working on the production. It should be better in the next few weeks, and then hopefully by the time Elimination Chamber rolls around, this will be looking like an actual podcast.
Yeah, it should. I mean, the chamber is early March, so by that time we'll actually look like, I'll actually be like, also I'm still posting and promoting, but I will I'll be doing it I'll be annoying everyone. Sorry, that was a mouthful. But yeah. Thanks so much for watching and tuning in and all that stuff. And oh yeah, I have a project called Sad Boy Cult. Go listen to it. I just added the cult because there were so many fucking sad boys on Spotify. But
so many sad boys all over the world.
Here's the thing, like there's already, I didn't mind that there was so many sad boys. Unfortunately, there was just one that already is like relatively big, like millions of monthly listeners, signed to a label. And she isn't even a boy, but that's yeah, sad SAD.
Is she even sad?
She probably isn't,
God.
Especially if, it seems like she's doing well, but also social media is not real. Yeah, sad boy, SADBOI cult. And
I produced it.
And this man, Jake Bonesteel, produced it. An EP is dropping very soon. More details about that in the next few episodes.
Yeah. So check out our stuff. Please subscribe because apparently that's important for these things.
5-star Frog Splash that star on Spotify and all that fun stuff.
Even if we don't deserve the 5 stars yet, we're gonna work for it.
Yeah, and say literally just comment stuff, like leave the 5 stars, but also some comments, and boost our shit up.
Do you realize I just dropped $1,300 on a fucking camera and a lens and all these other things? I already have this stuff, but this camera doesn't record more than 29 minutes. So when it does cut me off, just realize that, and that doesn't include this podcast has already cost us thousands of dollars. So, and it's probably gonna do that more. So please, the effort and our financial well-being is on the line here. So,
meanwhile, you have like someone that got really big, just being like, "What? I didn't pay anything."
Yeah, exactly. Last thing, my whole thing, my entire life is like, oh yeah. Well, you know what? I'm popping over here. My whole thing, my entire life has been like, I just want to make enough money to where I can, afford to eat out whenever I want. Now, my biggest goal is to be able to make enough money to not know how the fuck to do other shit that I don't want to do, if that makes sense. I want to be able to like have someone film me or like be doing some lighting shit and be like, "Oh, what's your job?" "Oh, I'm the gripper or the light person," and be like, "I have no idea how that works, but I'm glad that I have enough money to pay you," instead of having to learn everything myself. That is my soapbox.
Preach.
So yeah, eventually maybe we'll hire someone for this, but until then, it's DIY.
It's DIY, who's also retaining tomorrow. So
peace.
We told you.